sorts of technology here in North Hall at 2013 International CES, including electric vehicles. We're here in the ChargePoint booth with Mike. Mike, tell us about what you guys have here.
Sure. So we're with ChargePoint. My name is Mike DiNucci, and ChargePoint is the largest network of intelligent charging stations for EV drivers, EVs obviously being electric vehicles. As EVs have become much more prominent in North America over the last couple of years, there's been a great demand for charging in the public. Of course, you're going to charge where you sleep, but we also need solutions for charging where you work, where you shop, where you dine, or go see movies, wherever it might be. So that's what ChargePoint's solution is addressing.
So now, how easy are these to install in your garage of your home?
So the station that we have right here next to us is one of our CT2000 family of stations. This would be a public station, something that you would see on a curbside or in a retail shopping mall, a restaurant, a movie theater, or even companies like Google, eBay, and Facebook are buying these stations and installing them as an amenity for their employees. What you see a lot is a paradigm shift, a mindset shift from the way we refuel today, the way we've refueled for the last 100 years, is a pump model, doing it while you wait. You're in and out in 3 minutes. But in this new model, in this sort of new world where electric vehicles might take an hour or two or more to charge, well, you need a place where you're going to have your car parked, which shouldn't be a big problem. As I always like to say, cars are like cats. They sleep 20 hours a day. Even if you drive a lot, 3 or 4 hours a day, you still have 20 hours a day, probably 10 where you sleep and maybe 10 where you work, that you have the opportunity or the time to charge as long as you have a charging station available. So what we want to do is we want to make it not only very easy for cities, retailers, or employers to put these charging stations in for whoever the audience is, whether it's tenants or residents, or whether it's customers, or whether it's your own employees. To be able to do that is something that we want to empower companies to do, and not only install the charging station, but give them complete flexibility to deploy it however they would like, and answer these kinds of questions. Do we want to charge money for this? If so, how much? Do we want to make the stations visible on the public map so drivers can find them and maybe actually use it as a lure to drop in new customers? Do we want to restrict the access to maybe only a certain group of people, such as employees? And so those are the types of things that the ChargePoint network and our software allows you to do.
So now, price-wise, how does this compare, charging your car to filling up your old car in a tank of gas?
Well, very favorably, as a matter of fact. So I'm a Chevy Volt driver, a new Chevy Volt driver. I've been driving a Volt for about 4 months. When I got the car, they gave it to me with a full gas tank. I haven't needed it because I'd never put gas in the car again. So my big question now is, does gas spoil? How long is it like milk? Can I leave it in there for a year and then go back to it? I've been using a little bit of gas because the Chevy Volt, for example, has a 40-mile battery. So on days when I'm driving 10 miles to work and 10 miles home, I don't even need to charge at work. But if I'm driving a farther distance, or maybe I'm driving, I work in Silicon Valley, if I need to drive all the way up to San Francisco or maybe down to Monterey, I might be using a little bit of gas there. But over the lifetime of the car, I'm averaging 212 miles a gallon. So the cost to operate that car, I went from spending $450 a month on gasoline before to now spending nothing on gas. And it's probably a few cents a mile to operate instead of 40 or 50 cents a mile for a fossil fuel burning vehicle.